Yeah, you liking it? You liking it?
Yeah.
I wonder if people are ever going to find out that was me photoshopped with my shirt off. Oh, I probably should have.
Oh, that was both of us Photoshop with that shirt off.
Alrighty. Herb Raj podcast. Raj, this is a momentous, stupendous occasion. Our
Okay, you can
first
start with the big
guest
word. Yes, but
since
this
we
is a
since we
huge.
went
This
live.
is huge. Yes.
Well, I had my word a day toilet paper, and I had to use up a lot of words for this
Okay.
weekend. So
Okay. But yes,
So
it is an honor to have us in here.
Yes. One of our first guests on our original format too, if I'm not mistaken. Right.
Yep.
Comes to join us. Bama Beat. Welcome in, sir. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, how are y'all?
We're good, man. We're good.
Doing excellent.
Did the live thing throw you off, or were you ready for this?
Yeah, it's a little different than the old format we had done before.
Yeah.
So, but I like it. I like it.
Okay. And you'll see people. The biggest difference, people will be able to drop comments from time to time when we're talking. So that'll be cool. But otherwise, let's just jump right in because I think we've all been excited to talk about this. Obviously, well, let's see. Here goes your first one. I agree with this comment, Raj. It looks like you have a LeBron James UAB jersey on.
For those that don't know, this is LeBron's high school jersey, not his actual high school jersey. We haven't that's not in the budget yet, so I'm gonna save up for that one. But this is just a replica of his high school jersey. And we play tonight at 9, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Shout out to Mike.
All right. So talking about the 8A game, it's like you want to dive into all this other stuff, but let's just be honest. Everyone wants to talk about the quarterbacks. So what was your I mean, you know what everyone's talking about. Obviously the QB battle will be going on for a while now still. I said probably up until the Texas game last time we were on air, but let's get your thoughts on what you saw out there today and what you think, and do you feel like anybody's pulled ahead of the other?
Well, it's the $1 million question, isn't it? I don't think there's really been any separation, at least not in spring ball. I think both guys did some good things on Saturday. And just first, let me preface all these comments by saying, Saturday was just a spring game. It's one of 15 practices. In some ways, I weigh it even less than some of the other practices because the coaches know, it's a live crowd, and they don't want to show everything they've got. So I think the play calling is probably a little bit different in the close scrimmages than it was on Saturday. But I think Ty Simpson did some good things. I really like the way he moves through his progressions. You can literally see his head turn 1, 2, 3. As the execution side of things, where he probably fell a little short, some inaccuracy issues. And to be fair to him, he did have an injury to his hand early in the game. I think they even commented on the broadcast that he hit
somebody's helmet or something.
He hit his hand on somebody's helmet, so that potentially could have impacted his accuracy. I think Jalen Milroe did some good things. I do see improvement. I've still got some concerns about his ability to stretch the field, but he's a dynamic athlete. If he can ever figure out the passing game side of things, then he's going to be hell to deal with. So I think both guys have their issues at the moment. I think that's why we haven't really seen any separation yet.
Yeah. How much do you feel like the fan base is still holding the Texas A&M game against Milroe going into this?
It's probably a good portion of the negative sentiment. But at the same time, until he shows us that he's a different quarterback than what we saw in the Texas A&M game, then that's probably going to be the prevailing sentiment. It's really just the turnovers. I mean, you just can't make some of those plays and expect to win against really good teams. So for every spectacular play, he comes back with a not so good play. So I think that's what they're really looking for from him is to kind of clean some of those mistakes up.
I agree. Where do you think? So, like I said, my prediction is that both players get a lot of play time against Middle Tennessee, and maybe they've made a decision by Texas. Where do you see this battle, kind of ending up? And
I think it can be won in fall camp before the first game, but I think somebody's going to have to really take the bull by the horns. I anticipate it'll go into that at least that first game. I think that Texas game could be a little dicey going in there trying to play two quarterbacks.
Right.
Ideally, you'd like to have a guy picked out by then because I think Texas is going to be good offensively. They're going to have, I guess, Sarkisian's named Quinn Ewers the starter
Right.
shortly after spring ball. So, they're going to have the potential to put up some points, especially as Alabama's defense tries to settle in under Kevin Steele. So, I do think the play calling is going to be much different than what you saw on Saturday. I honestly think the run pass split you saw from A-Day, which is probably like 60-40 pass to run, is you could probably flip that.
Definitely.
And I think that'll be more accurate to how Alabama will run its offense this season. Try to take some pressure off the quarterback, kind of lean on the defense a little bit and play a little bit more ball control. And it's not going to be 2008, where they're running 75-25, but I think it'll be a little more run heavy than we've gotten used to the past few years.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. If we had to play this upcoming Saturday, who do you feel like would start?
This is the answer I wanted to hear too.
Okay. Yeah. I was actually thinking about that scenario in my head. If the game kicked off tomorrow, who would I start? And it'd probably be Milroe. And I think it's because of the experience he has. And I think, with the athleticism aspect that he brings, he can give you a little bit of that, even if he's not quite there in the passing game. Now, who do I think maybe is better in the long term? Potentially Ty Simpson, if he can put it all together,
right?
Because he is able to go through his progressions a little bit, quicker than Milroe is, and I'm not even sure how many progressions or reads Milroe's actually going through. It seemed Saturday like it was maybe one or two.
Mike agrees with you too. They would go with Milroe. I think so too.
I agree with that too. I even told Herb after the game, it doesn't look like Milroe's really going through his progressions. He's just kind of throwing the ball as quick as he can. That one interception he threw, if I recall, I think it was in the second quarter where he was in the end zone. He overthrew the receiver. It looked like he was just trying to get rid of the ball because they were collapsing the pocket. So, and those are the things, me personally, I was kind of hoping we wouldn't see this past Saturday. But I guess, as you all both mentioned earlier, the A-Day is pretty much just like a benchmark to see like where we are like in April right now. We still have several months coming up until the Middle Tennessee game. So, hopefully, like you said, the battle will be won over maybe August or even after game one.
Yeah. And what I see from Milroe, it just seems to be like with a lot of athletic quarterbacks, they trust their legs too much. So it's like first progression, okay, can I get out of this? Versus a guy like Simpson. Now, I did find it interesting that Simpson was running a lot in this game because I felt like he was trying to show, hey, I can do this part too, and I'm the better passer. But I think Milroe it's like he just needs more patience back there. Sometimes being that athletic can be a curse as well as a blessing.
Well, I think that's the thing with Milroe. I think he's more comfortable taking off maybe after that first or second read than he is sitting in the pocket and trying to get to his third, maybe even his fourth read. And I think the keys for him on what he needs to do to improve is making those progressions and then getting rid of the key mistakes and turnovers that can lose you a game. Ty Simpson, I think it's more about putting everything together. He's doing some things good in pieces, making progressions. He's making some impressive throws, but you got to put it all together and execute.
Yeah. Mike also kind of agrees with
the experience aspect. That's what we've seen in years past. Saban wants to go with who's more experienced, until they lose the job. That's true. Question. So prior to this game, I think we all heard a lot of good things about Justice Haynes. What did you think about what you saw from Haynes, and did he meet your expectations, or what did you think overall? He got a lot of touches on the ball.
Yeah, it was about what I expected. He's working with the second team offense, so you kind of keep that in the back of your mind as far as what he was able to do. I think really I'd expect he would get more carries in a real game. I think they were really testing out the quarterbacks. Right. I know he got some carries and a few catches, but I think he's going to be a dynamic playmaker. I mean, I thought in high school he actually played one of the local high schools in the Birmingham area. Thompson High School is kind of the Alabama powerhouse right now. And,
powerhouse.
And he played for Buford High School in Georgia. Is also a kind of traditional state powerhouse. And Thompson won the state championship this year, but Buford just blew them away, and he was the main reason why. I mean, he's just a dynamic playmaker in space. He's already physically mature for a college freshman.
Yeah.
So,
they mentioned that about 20 times during the broadcast.
What is his size? What is his size? Is he like 5? How big is he?
He's listed 5'10", 5'11", probably like 210, 215 right now.
But they said it doesn't look 210. Like when you're in person with him, that's what they said on the broadcast. He was like, yeah.
So I think he's going to be a big time player. I think that running back room's pretty crowded. So carries will be tough to come by. So he's got a few upperclassmen in front of him with Roydell Williams and Jason McClellan, and Jam Miller got a lot of pub this spring.
Yeah.
He's got a fellow freshman, Richard Young, who was another highly rated running back coming in over the summer. So I think he's going to be a really good player, but he'll have to continue to fight for carries in that backfield.
Yeah, which isn't the worst thing if you're a running back. I hope these guys have the patience to realize, like in the Josh Jacobs mold, getting to the NFL with less carries is actually going to help you more than being kind of the bell cow back in college. So, but the running back room, I agree with you, is totally stacked. What did you see from the wide receivers out there? I mean, obviously, besides dropping, every other pass, it felt like.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in the wide receivers Saturday, but I say that again with the idea in mind. It's only one practice, and everything I'd heard up to that point had been positive in regards to the wide receivers. I think they'll be better as a group than they were last year, simply by the fact that you've got that young group that's just they're a year older now. So just by that simple fact alone, they should have a little more success this year. You've got some older guys in that group, mainly Burton and Brooks. Burton's starting to test my patience. I've been a big fan of his, and I think he really separates well. But he's just can't have those kind of drops that he had on Saturday, and that's kind of been the issue for him at Alabama so far. He'll have some games where he does really well, and then he'll have some games where he just doesn't show up. So I think Brooks is kind of the same way. Brooks has always been there in the big moments, but, it's just a consistency thing with him. Just, seeing him, every game show up like he does in some of those big moments. So I think the receiving core has a lot of potential. The younger guys, Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Law, the JUCO transfer, Malik Benson. Did most of his work against the fifth or sixth string secondary on Saturday. He was a little quiet up until that last drive with Milroe at quarterback, but I think they've got the guys. They've just got to find a little bit more consistency in performance.
Yeah, Brooks always seems like the guy that's if you need a touchdown pass in the last 30 seconds, he'll catch that. But if you need a 10-yard pass in like the first quarter, he's not catching that. So I don't know. It's maddening at times. What were you about to say, Raj?
No, I was going to say I was hoping to see Benson too. Missed the fourth quarter. I had to go run an errand right quick, so I missed that. And then Herb texted me during the game. He's like, Malik Benson got a few touches on the last drive, but unfortunately I missed it. But that was another name that I was hearing good things about. So hopefully he steps up over the next few months and get some good playing time this year.
And I'm surprised, Raj. I really thought this was going to be your first question because we talked about the first two quarterbacks, but Holstein got in the game, and I know I'm gonna mess up his last name, so I'm just gonna call him Dylan. Everybody seemed to be impressed.
He looked good.
He looked good.
Really
good.
Are
we just overstating things, or was that just we just wanted something to be happy about, and he looked good?
So I thought Dylan Lonergan was really impressive. I think he looks like maybe the most natural passer of the bunch. Seemed really calm in the pocket. He seemed like he knew where he wanted to go with the football. I think with him, it's just he's so young. And even if he is maybe the most talented or the most natural passer right now, I'm not sure he's going to be ready by the time the season starts.
Right.
I kind of was watching his rep count pretty closely on Saturday because typically if there's a true freshman that's really challenging, they're going to try to get them reps, even a lot of reps. Even if it's against the 2s and 3s, we saw that with Jalen Hurts in his first A-Day game. Even though he was going against, maybe the second or third team, even the fourth team at times, they really got him in the game a lot. judging by what I saw for Lonergan on Saturday, I'm not sure they're really seriously considering him at this time. But that could change. They've got summer workouts, fall camp. There's time to make a move.
Agree. So we've kind of we've kind of gone through the offense side. What did you see kind of blanket from the defense to be impressed with or worried about?
I'm excited about the defense. I feel better about the defense than the offense currently.
Definitely.
And I feel like the offense has a lot of experience on the offensive line, wide receiver, running back. I think that quarterback question is the main thing, kind of the hesitation there. And also the fact that you've got a really young coordinator in Tommy Rees. I mean, Saban's talked pretty glowingly of him so far, but still a little bit of unknown there with his inexperience. But I think on the other side of the ball, you've got Kevin Steele, who's just, he's been everywhere. He's a veteran. Yeah. You've got a lot of experience to fall back on. And I like the intensity that he's brought to the defense. I noticed a little bit more. I don't know if you want. They seem to be playing a little faster on Saturday. Tackling seemed better. Yeah. He's been with Saban many times before. He understands what Saban wants from his defensive coordinator. So I think the defense as a whole, it looks encouraging. I think the main concern for me on defense would be the defensive line. I think they're absolutely loaded at linebacker. I mean, both spots, just absolutely loaded. The secondary, I think they've got two really good corners, Kool-Aid and Terrion Arnold. I feel good about those guys. I felt like the corners played pretty well last year. I think when Alabama had issues, it was usually when they had a third or fourth corner on the field, or the safeties were kind of the problem. Caleb Downs has stepped in at safety, and I think that's just huge to give somebody to go with Christian Story or Malachi Moore, whoever ends up starting at that other safety spot. The way he stepped in this early, I haven't really we haven't seen that since.
You've heard a lot about him,
Yeah.
Is Malachi Moore back? Since you just mentioned him, is he? I feel like he was gone for a minute. Is he back?
Yeah, he had 3 sacks Saturday. He was I think he was actually named MVP of the game. So he had a really good day Saturday, and I think he's going to someone like him is going to really benefit from Kevin Steele being the defensive coordinator, because I think Steele may be able to use him a little bit more than maybe Pete Golding did, whether he's in that star position or whether he's at safety, So I feel pretty good about linebackers and the secondary. It's the defensive line where I think they've got some really good guys. It's just about finding consistency. We've seen Tim Smith, Jamil Burrows. They flashed at times, but they're not really consistent, game to game. Justin Aboigbe's back. I think that's a huge get. I think I said last year when he went out, that was a big loss at the time, because he was probably Alabama's best run stopper on the defensive line and was really starting to play well before he went out. I think it was before the Arkansas game. So James Smith, defensive lineman out of Carver Montgomery, 5-star freshman. I think he's got a lot of potential. There's some other guys, Jamarian Latham and Quinn Barnes. They've got some bodies on the defensive line, but it's just, got to show up week in, week out. So
whenever you're here, I feel like defense, I should take notes, because I'm like, okay, I got to.
I know. Right. I feel the same way. I feel like I wish I had an assistant, or I wish I had like a separate keyboard like here, just typing in the names and everything. But
wait a minute, are you saying Bob isn't enough for you, Roger? What, you need another assistant?
Bob is good at certain things. Bob's not good at what Bama Beat is good at. So Bob now, Bob is actually off right now. I didn't want to bring that up, but Bob's off today. He had to go take care of something. So
that's fair.
About that. But no, it's great. Seriously, it's good to hear all this and take all this in. And based on what you said, I feel like defensively, I think we're going to be pretty good this fall. But offensively, we still have a lot of questions left up in the air. And correct, but this kind of feels like the first time since 2016 where we weren't quite sure about the QB. I think that was the year Blake Barnett started against USC, fumbled the ball, and then obviously Jalen Hurts took over, and the rest is history. And we went to the national championship. They lost to Deshaun Watson, but if that's saying anything, then maybe this is going to be a good year for us. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, they actually put that up on the broadcast, Raj, that every time we have a new quarterback starting, we at least win what the SEC championship is our low you know, or you win a
Yep.
national championship or get to the game.
Yep.
So that was a weird stat. I'm sorry, Ben, you were about to say something on that?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Traditionally, when Alabama has had some uncertainty at quarterback, they've had pretty good seasons. So I don't know if that's a direct correlation or if it's just by chance. So, but yeah, this is the first year since really that Hurts year where there's some uncertainty there. You know, there was a little bit of talk when Mac Jones was in his last year that Bryce Young could have potentially been the starter that year. But I think most of us that watched Mac Jones in that Iron Bowl the year before thought he probably was going to start, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think Roger actually talked about that afterwards. I felt like Mac with a full season of reps and everything. I liked what I had seen. So, yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
But, yeah, I think, you know, as a whole, I feel pretty good about this team coming out of spring. I think it's going to be a developmental team. You know, they're relying on a lot of young guys at some key positions. So, you know, they may not be a finished product out of the gate. You know, and I don't think you want to be a finished product out of the gate, but even more so this year, you're going to want to try to improve as the year goes on. And then hopefully by the end of the year, you know, you're a lot better than you were in the first game.
Yeah. Initial I was reading somebody who did a projection for the year, every team's record. And I was like, well, that's really early, but I guess you don't have anything else to write about. And they had Alabama winning all their games except losing at Texas A&M. So way too early to call it, I would think. But do you tend to – does that give you any kind of optimism, or is it just like we're going to have to take a page out of Rodgers' book? We're just going to have to see what happens.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the schedule too closely to kind of zero in on some games. I think off the top of my head, Texas A&M is going to be a tough one. I think they're going to be improved. I think LSU is going to be tough. I don't think there's many. I don't think there's a lot of question marks with LSU. Luckily, Alabama gets them at home this year.
Yep.
And really, that's kind of the story. The schedule this year for me is a lot of those games last year that were tough road games are now home games. So that's certainly going to help things. I think Texas early is dangerous, just because Alabama's probably still going to be settling in there. You know, Texas has experience at quarterback. Haven't really looked at their team too closely, but I think they're going to be improved over last year. So the SEC West is going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. So I think we're just going to have to see how things come.
You can say it. You can say it.
I think we'll have to see what happens. You know, into the West.
Yeah, and I think the Tennessee game might come to another shootout as well. I think it was Joe Milton back there is going to be pretty much doing the same thing that they did last year, so that can be a high scoring game. I'm just hoping that we can put up the same numbers offensively as they do. So, yeah.
Did you hear what Jordan Rogers said?
You said
about Milton? Did you hear what he said about it? The old Vanderbilt quarterback. He said he thinks he's the best quarterback in the country, and it's not even close.
Already, wow. Okay.
That's what he said about.
I mean, he looked decent last year from what the playing time that he did receive. So I mean, you know, only time will tell. But
he looked really good.
He put up a better defense for an Alabama quarterback. But yeah,
against Clemson, he looked really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think he'll be pretty good. I don't know about best quarterback in the country, but you know, when you play in Josh Heupel's scheme, when you play in Josh Heupel's scheme, you know, you don't necessarily have to have the best quarterback in the country to put up big numbers.
Right. I would agree.
Yeah.
And lastly, we never talked to you after this, but what did you grade both of the coordinator hires? Were you okay with it?
Yeah, I liked both hires, considering what was available. You know, I think there was some big aspirations on the defensive side of the ball. I think we all wanted to see Jeremy Pruitt back. I just don't think he was hireable. With the NCAA issues going on at Tennessee. I like Tommy Rees. I think he's an intriguing hire. I don't think it's a home run. You know, there's a chance it doesn't work out, but I think he fits what Saban wants to do offensively. I know during the coordinator search, a lot of people were talking about the Washington OC, Ryan Grubb. He kind of got a lot of publicity for a few days when he came down and interviewed. And I remember at the time thinking it didn't really line up with what we've been hearing about what Saban wanted to do offensively. I think Tommy Rees fits that mold more so. And I actually know there was a elite team in the SEC that wanted Tommy Rees as their offensive coordinator, and I'll leave it at that.
Nice. It's always nice to have stuff that other people wanted.
Yeah. So
yes, they heard it here first.
He was probably going to have some other options if he had taken the Alabama job.
Okay.
Well, that is good. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess we can kind of move on from A-Day game. Obviously, we're making a whole lot about what's basically a glorified scrimmage, but this is what we do here in the South. We get excited about. Like, I don't know that I've been more excited about tuning in to watch an A-Day game than I was this past weekend. So, thank you for giving us your thoughts on it. Wanted to move into a little NFL draft, and then obviously the big trade that came down. But I guess everyone is saying now they think Bryce is going to go number 1. And they have no idea what the Texans are doing at number 2. Have you guys been following this story a little bit more?
I heard a little bit about that. I mean,
I guess I should have. Go ahead, Bama. Go ahead.
Yeah, go, Bama.
Yeah, I mean, I expect Bryce Young to go number 1. I think most places you look at are saying that's pretty much that decision's been made. When the Panthers originally traded up for that pick, I think most people thought it was to get C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
But I don't know. I just had a feeling that when they went and started, talking with these guys and seeing them in person and meeting with them, that Bryce Young's just got that infectious personality they would end up going with him. So I'll be interested to see how that works out. With the Texans at 2, I think it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think everybody's thought they were going to take C.J. Stroud. Now there's a little late news, kind of late in the game, that they're potentially considering taking Will Anderson with that pick.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, there's a lot of posturing before draft time.
A lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So and that was where my question was coming into play, is why would Houston not take C.J. Stroud or even a quarterback at number 2?
Yeah, my guess is my guess is if they do pick Will Anderson, that may have been D'Amico Ryans may have had a big hand in that, being a defensive guy, and with his connection to Alabama, potentially that's why they would make that pick. I would probably go with C.J. Stroud because I think C.J. Stroud's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. We'll see. Some of these Ohio State quarterbacks haven't worked out, but he seems to have what it takes, to make it. And it's not often you have the number 2 pick and there's a quarterback there that's really worth taking at number 2. So, I don't think they'll go wrong if they pick Will Anderson, though. It's just a matter of what you value, and I think the quarterback's a little bit more. It's a little bit of a harder find than maybe a good rush end.
Right. I could understand it more if they had a quarterback on the roster they thought was okay, but they've got nobody. So it's like,
that's what I'm saying.
Plenty of chances already, and it hasn't worked out. And then I guess they traded away their best wide receiver. So I guess I just don't really know. I mean, I understand Ryans, but in him wanting a defensive guy, but you got to win by scoring points. The rules are not favoring defenses anymore. So building a great defense is only going to take you so far.
I mean, potentially, if you think you're not going to be very good this year, maybe you're looking at some of the quarterbacks that come out next year. Caleb Williams maybe is one to keep an eye on. Yeah. I would probably rate C.J. Stroud over Caleb Williams. That's just a personal opinion. But, if you feel like Anderson's a special player, you can take him now and then hope that you're in the top 5 next year.
Right. Arizona's got to be loving it, because if they pass on a quarterback, that pick's got to get traded for a haul. I would think that somebody jumps up to it. So, but what do you think about? They're 3. They're at pick number 3, and they're definitely not taking a quarterback. So they're kind of in that seat where and this is the other name. What do you think about Richardson? And all the hype surrounding him.
That's what I was going to ask too, because it just seems like from what we saw him playing like Florida, I mean, there wasn't a lot to look at, but once he gets to the combine, he turns into Superman with the vertical, the 40, and forth and so on, and his name just starts climbing up the charts to be mentioned even before Will Levis and any of the other quarterbacks. So I was interested to see what you guys think about that too, as far as Anthony Richardson.
I wasn't surprised he tested well. He's always been an athletic freak. I wouldn't take him. I probably wouldn't take him high, but
No.
I can see why teams want to do that, because quarterbacks tend to get overdrafted because they're just such a valuable position. I don't really buy into him or Will Levis. That doesn't mean they can't be good NFL players. I just think they're too risky to take that high.
Agreed.
But for every Josh Allen that works out, there's a Jamarcus Russell or Ryan Leaf that didn't work out.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree. So obviously we do have to get into the big thing today. The Aaron Rodgers trade finally came down. I guess they sent over Aaron Rodgers in their 15th pick and then the 5th pick in the draft. The Jets sent back the 13th pick, their second round pick, which is number 42, the 6th round pick, which is number 207, and then a 2024 second round pick, which converts to a number 1 pick if Rodgers plays at least 65% of the snaps, which I would fully expect. I mean, you don't trade for a guy like this and think he's going to be out there half the time. So initial thoughts, we'll start with you, Bama. Initial thoughts on the trade?
Yeah, I mean, I like it for both sides. I think we've been waiting for this one to happen for a few months. I would assume that 65% clause that's in that trade is probably an injury situation. The Jets just have been a snake-bitten franchise for a few years now. So I think they're trying to finally get serious about winning. Quentin Williams did some big things last year on that team.
Yeah.
So Green Bay, I think it's going to be interesting to see where they go this season and beyond. Without Rodgers, it's kind of the end of an era. What's the young man's name they drafted a few years ago? I can't think of his name right now.
It's about the one that just got kicked out of the quarterback.
The quarterback that they drafted.
Zach Wilson.
No, I'm
Green Bay or
Packers. The Packers.
Oh, Jordan Love.
Oh,
Jordan
Love.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the
Love
team.
was,
I was looking up something.
Love was coming to my mind, but I couldn't think of his first name. I'll be interested to see how he does because they kind of went out on a limb taking him that year, and I think that kind of was the beginning of the end of Aaron Rodgers.
When they could have used a wide receiver. Yep.
Yeah, they really left him out, hanging out to dry with his skill players. But agreed. I'll be interested to see how he does.
So, Raj, did you have a point to make on it too, or are you kind of same boat?
Oh no! First of all, Bama.
Are you scared?
It's finally over. I'm not scared. Me being a Miami Dolphins fan, I still think that I told you this. The Dolphins are going to win the AFC East next year. I have it, and just like Charles would say on Inside the NBA, guaranteed. I'm glad that the trade is I'm glad that the trade is finally over. The Jets have they already have a good defense. They got some good defensive weapons now. I think Aaron Rodgers brought Allen Lazard with him. They got Garrett Wilson. If McCole Hardman can stay, healthy, he could be a good receiver with them as well. I still don't think they're going to win the AFC East. It's going to be between Miami and Buffalo. And me being a Fins fan, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Fins. Say Buffalo comes in 2, the Jets, then Mac Jones, and the lovely Patriots down there at the bottom of the barrel.
I'm just glad you're never biased, Raj. I'm glad that you always keep an even keel and it's always objective.
Well, I'm hoping that Tua has learned some things in the offseason as far as how to carry and take care of himself a little better when it comes to just getting hit and maybe falling as well. And seeing someone because like I mentioned several times, there were a few times we got tackled last season and he got tackled around his ankles and he just kind of fell forward and kind of slammed his head. And I don't know what you do from an NFL perspective if you talk to him about seeing somebody regarding that, but I want to do whatever he can to have a better season and to even more than that, just to prolong his career a lot longer. So that being said, I think Miami's going to be the team to beat in the AFC East. Jets.
Okay. I could go with that. I could go with that.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the key for Miami is keeping Tua healthy. It's what everybody talks about. If they can keep him healthy, they have every chance to win the division.
Yep, I agree. All right, I know we're going to let you go here in a minute and move into a little NBA, but I do have a couple last questions for you. First thing, will Bama basketball recover going into the next season? And yeah, I know it's like we had a football team and a basketball team we thought could win the title this year, and both of them just kind of broke our hearts. So. I'm going to take a.
So
Rogers started
disappointing.
pickleball, so I'm going to start following a pickleball team or something next year. So my heart doesn't get broken.
I'm still trying to get over that one, man.
Yeah.
That was just tough because you felt like this was a fantastic opportunity to maybe get further than an Alabama basketball team's ever been able to, and then you felt like the draw, the bracket opened up for Alabama, and you got knocked off by a good team, San Diego State. That was probably a bad matchup for Alabama.
Yeah.
Even though they were just a 5 seed, it just their physical style of play, the senior leadership that they had, obviously gave Alabama a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I think the program is in a good place. That's kind of the thing with basketball and NCAA tournaments is if you put yourself in position enough times, hopefully you'll break through eventually.
Yeah.
If you can consistently make NCAA tournaments, then you're bound to get on a run at some point. I like what they've done in the offseason. They've got some key transfers. Some bad news this evening. I don't know if you guys have seen
I
it.
have not seen it, no.
Jaquan Walton, the Wichita State transfer, was arrested in Tuscaloosa, I think for possession of marijuana. And I think there's firearms involved. So Nate Oates has released a statement saying that he will no longer be recruited by Alabama.
Good gracious.
And, will not be a part of the program. So that's a disappointing loss. I think he had a lot of size, ability to shoot the three. I think he was 6'7", shot a pretty good percentage at Wichita State. So that's a disappointing loss. But with everything that happened off the court,
I was just going to say
this past season, I was going to say the decision, and I think it's the right decision.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. And by the way, the worst words ever for a Bama basketball team are that bracket has opened up, because that never seems to work out for us. So that's just awful. But Rod, did you have one more comment before we let him get?
No. I mean, being said, I think Nate Oates had to assess that situation ASAP, and like we all said, with what happened with Burley's situation, he couldn't let anything linger on. He had to do what he did and nip it in the bud before the season gets started. So he had to do what he did, and I understand that. I was excited about Walton coming to play with his size and the other things he could do on the court, but I set up another spot. So the team's going to look. I think we can all agree the team's going to look drastically different next year. I don't know. I just hope we can put it all together and make a nice run next year.
I agree. And it doesn't look like we have an alpha dog, but it looks like we're kind of across the board.
Right.
I guess going to be a little better. So it'll be interesting. So, remember, I did prepare. You've been through this before. I did prepare 3 questions of depth for you before you leave. So we've only been doing 3 in the new format. So to make everything easier, make everybody's lives a little easier. So this first one might be a repeat. I can't remember if I asked you this one before, but it's a new audience. So here you go. You could have any one guest from the Saban era on, and you get to talk an hour, do a full interview with this person. Who would you choose? Any one player.
Okay, so it has to be a player.
Yeah, it has to be a player from the Saban era. Why would you pick Lane Kiffin? Is that?
I was the first one that came to mind was Kirby Smart. I hate to be that guy right now, but I'd like to kind of hear some of his thoughts on defense and kind of what he took from the Saban philosophy, culture over to Georgia. Players, I think it might be Jalen Hurts with everything that's going on with him right now. That's a huge contract he just signed, the perseverance he showed at Bama to lose his job and then transfer to Oklahoma and do what he did. I think he'd be an interesting interview.
I agree. Jalen is never a bad choice. So
yeah.
Okay, so let's say no football, no basketball, and you had to cover one sport like you do football right now. What would you do? Where would you go?
So it's no football and no basketball?
Correct.
Man.
We don't ask the easy questions around here.
Yeah. Softball?
It's pros too, right?
Right.
No NFL.
Oh, okay.
Man, that's really getting thin. I'm an old baseball player, so I guess baseball, but I don't feel too excited about that. As much as I love to play it, it's not quite as much fun to watch.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately. I'm trying to get into baseball a little bit this year, but it's Yeah, it's tough. It's easy to follow the standings and everything going on. Mike has a question. Do you think any of the draft guys are coming back to the basketball team next year?
Yeah, I would say I expect all of them back except Noah Clowney and obviously Brandon Miller.
Right.
So that'd be JQ, Bediako, and Mark Sears. They've all entered their names in the draft with the opportunity to pull their names out if the opportunity is not there. I don't really expect there will be much NBA interest in either, in any of those guys. So I'd expect them all back, but Clowney and Miller.
Right. Which would be good. Okay, final question.
I was really hoping that Clowney would come back too.
Yeah, but I can see why he would go.
Yeah.
Clowney, if you looking at NBA mock drafts, he's kind of, I don't want to call him polarizing, but he's kind of all over the board at the moment. So there's probably still a little uncertainty there, but just looking at him as a player, I mean, he'll be valued by NBA teams. So I'm sure he'll get picked somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, final question. So with this new live format, you wimped out of this question before, so we're bringing it back. With the new live format, who's your favorite now, Herb or Raj?
I played the fifth. Bring out the politician.
You running for office over there?
Yeah, maybe one day I'll eventually answer this question if you keep asking.
But I feel like if I keep asking there, so it's going to be Raj just to shut me up.
How about we make it if Alabama wins? If Alabama wins the SEC championship, you have to answer the question the following week.
How about the national championship?
Yeah, national. Some good stakes there.
Oh, okay. All right, that's the deal. National championship. Okay.
Because I'm worried looking at Georgia's schedule.
Oh, they're going undefeated.
That's what. So, even if we win the SEC championship, we may be seeing them again. So let's make it really worth it.
We got to play them twice. Yeah.
Georgia's going undefeated, so that's not even a given, and that's not even their team is really good and their division's really bad. It's just intersecting at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So,
I like I said, I think their only test is going to be Tennessee this year. So and that game could go either way.
I watched their spring game the other day, and again, it's a spring game, so you can't really judge a team too closely. But I thought Carson Beck looked pretty good. It looks like he's going to bring some stability to that quarterback room, I would think. And they showed some defensive deficiencies, but again, you're playing yourself, so that can make you look better or worse. Depending on the circumstances.
Agreed. All right, man, we're going to let you go. We're going to talk a little NBA before we get out of here. You're always welcome. Like I said, we say it jokingly, but it's also very serious. You always bring a lot of knowledge that we have no idea. We're like, okay, let me follow these names. So, man, we always appreciate you coming on.
Right.
You're always welcome here, man.
We appreciate it, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always fun to talk Bama football with you.
Yes, sir. We'll see you plenty more times before the season and hopefully during the season as well, man.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of the off season.
All right, thanks, man. You have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right, Raj. Anna Hoda had to throw you a question. Did he miss the conversation about why J-Mo hated me?
Why J-Mo? No,
he's a Detroit Lions fan. I mean,
yeah.
You hear the goofiest thing about that story? He didn't even bet on the NFL.
It was a college game.
He bet at the
It was just at the facility.
Yeah, I was like, are you guys kidding me right now?
Wouldn't you think that the facility would have some way to block certain websites from being keyed in on cell phones?
Yeah, but only if you're on the Wi-Fi. If you get off the Wi-Fi, then you can't do that anyway.
I don't know.
I mean,
that was just so silly.
It's such a huge technicality to get caught on, and the NFL's like, hey, we have sponsorships with gambling sites and everything, but we don't want you betting. So it's whatever at this point.
It's weird.
All right, Raj, you got roughly 10 minutes to talk some NBA, right? So out of that 10 minutes,
here we go.
Your team does play tonight.
We played at 9.
At 9.
What do you want? So you're giving me 9 minutes? What are you saying?
We'll do a full Lakers minute as we prepare for this.
Wait, how long did I get last week?
As long as you wanted.
whatever.
Did
Go
you forget
ahead.
that already?
Get it over with. No, I thought last week was like a minute 37, but whatever.
No, my exact words were you talk as long as you want because it was your birthday.
Okay.
Mike is already
I'm ready for my minute.
For 10 minutes. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Lakers Memphis tonight. We host Memphis actually at 9:00. We're up 2-1 in the series.
You know, let me tell you something, Raj.
What?
This last game might be the only game ever that I was rooting for LeBron because Dylan Brooks needed to go down. Like,
why
that was
is that?
just
Okay.
He talked trash about a legend.
Yeah.
Okay. Disrespectfully. Did you hear what Doris said about Dylan Brooks? Go ahead.
Wait. He talked about what?
He talked disrespectfully about LeBron James.
No,
James.
That's not what you said. Okay.
I know what you're trying to do.
Okay.
And about a legend, Raj. He talked disrespectfully about a legend.
Right.
He hasn't produced anything himself. Did you hear what Doris Burke said about him? And she said this like just matter of fact, not trying to tell, but he's like, he doesn't bring elite athleticism. He doesn't bring elite shot making. He basically is trying to keep himself relevant by doing this. He causes all these problems and has the nerve to come out and go, oh, they're making me the villain. No, you're making yourself the villain. But I think of previous villains, Draymond Green, Dennis Rodman. These guys at least brought other things to the game. Dylan Brooks is not bringing.
These guys actually have a resume to back up what they're saying. All NBA, all rebounding, the offensive, whatever. Dylan Brooks hasn't made anything yet.
Yes, and he won't. And the Grizzlies will have a hard look at, do we even want to keep a guy like that on the roster? So anyway, go ahead, Rod.
Even before he got ejected last game, he was like 3 for 7. I don't know. He only had like 7 points. He was shooting the ball horribly anyway. So yeah. To your point, anyway. This is a very pivotal game with the series because all right. I think this is a very pivotal game in the series. Lakers need a huge win here because you don't want to go back to Memphis with it tied up 2-2 because then they can win game 5 and be up 3-2. I'd rather go to Memphis up 3-1, and I think that's what's going to happen tonight. In order for that to happen, the Lakers have to start off the game with the same type of intensity that they did in game 3. They need to start off the same way, which was exactly the opposite of how they started off game 2. So my prediction tonight is Lakers by 7. LeBron's not going to have a triple-double, but I think Rui Hachimura has another big game.
Right. The thing about it, LeBron doesn't have to have those big numbers.
He doesn't have to.
First off, I just feel like the Lakers are playing better, and they're a better, put-together team than the Grizzlies right now. And, they could definitely use Steven Adams down low, but – having even said that, I feel like the Lakers win this series. I think they will come out with that urgency. Thing about Grizzlies winning tonight is they would regain home court advantage in the series.
Right.
But, I think the Lakers do end up winning tonight. I'm actually going to stay up. That's probably my second favorite series right now.
Yeah, Golden State, Sacramento. And let's be honest, John Morant's not going to score 45 points and hit 6 threes again.
He was on fire. In that fourth quarter,
he was on fire. He hit like their last, I think it was 21 or 23 points in a row. He just could not miss, but unfortunately for them, it was a little too late.
Yep. So you do have some other random NBA news out there. Just Dante Murray was suspended for the next game. I don't think it's going to matter either way. Yeah, they'll just lose by more.
No, he
did bump an official at the end of the last game. Hawks will be out of here. Ime Udoka got hired by the Rockets. What'd you think about that?
Rockets?
Yeah.
I had a feeling he was going to get picked up somewhere soon. Anyway, he wasn't a bad coach. He did well with Boston. He just had the unfortunate incident with Nia Long. I don't know how anybody would cheat on Nia Long. Another situation, for another evening. But yeah, he was a good coach, and I'm not surprised that he got picked up. So the Rockets are in a rebuilding stage. So it's going to be interesting to see how long he's going to be there and if he can help that team kind of step their game up a little bit.
Right. You wonder if he just did it to get back in the coaching ranks or not. So
probably so. He might have, because if he can get that team like somewhere close to a playing game within the next few seasons, then someone will take another stab at him. He'll go elsewhere. But he didn't want to just sit on the sidelines not doing anything.
And one thing we always want to do with the playoffs, Raj, is take a brief look at any team after they get eliminated. So in the past week, the only team that's gone now is the Nets, which, like I said, they were playing with house money. But I think they have the clear thing. What are they going to do next? They got it. Bridges is playing great, and I like Cam Johnson over there, but they got to get a star. Now, they have had bad luck attracting these super teams. So do they go for a slower build this team, or do they try and, package some of this stuff together and get one great guy over there again?
I don't know. I think they kind of go for a slower build. I think, like you mentioned, though, they tried. They had Kyrie, Harden, KD. Nothing came to fruition. They got a nice young team. They ended up with.
But I'm thinking even before that,
overachieved it.
Yeah. I'm even going back too. Remember, even before that too, with KG and Paul Pierce and them too. So they don't do well with the super team.
Yep, back in the day. Yeah, I think I like the team that they have now, and they overachieved. To be honest with you, I didn't think they were going to end up with the 60. I didn't know if they were going to end up in the playoffs. To be honest with you, so they did all right. And don't forget they still have Cam Thomas over there who can get you some buckets, but I don't think he's playing time in the playoffs because of the guy after the trade deadline. He just didn't flow in well with the guys that were there as far as Bridges and Dinwiddie. I don't know, Brooklyn. I think they have a future. They just got to get some things together.
Okay. Well, we're going to do the 3 questions of death a little earlier this time because of the length of the questions. Okay. We're going to start because it's ending the NBA section. We're going to start with this one. So I gave him a homework assignment. Rod, I said, take away the best player from every team and then rank the teams 1 through 16, the teams in the playoffs. Right? So where do you want to start? 16 to 1 or 1 to 16?
16.
All right, 16 to 1. And whenever you name the the team, name the 1 to 16.
1 starting from the best and go to the worst.
Okay. And whenever you name the team, name the player you took away.
Okay. So we're just to make sure we're off the best player from this team, and we're going to rank how good they would be without that guy.
Yeah. If the playoffs were played today and every team lost their best player.
All right. With that being said, I'm going to say the Clippers would be number 1, and the reason I'm saying that is I'm taking away Kawhi Leonard.
Who'd you take away?
I'm taking a healthy Kawhi Leonard off the team.
Okay.
And depending on who you ask, it could be him or Paul George as long as they're both healthy. I'm just going to say Kawhi Leonard. And the reason I said, if you see how they've been playing against Phoenix without Kawhi Leonard, these 2 games, they're still a good, solid team, and they're an extremely, extremely deep team. So I think even without him, they still could be a playoff team. And let's just be honest, if him and Paul George were playing, they probably beat this Phoenix in 5 games, maybe even sweep them, to be honest with you.
I agree. All right, number 2.
And I don't have a specific conference, just either or, right?
Right, correct.
Okay. Number 2, I'm going to go with – do I want to go with them? Let's say you take Denver. Oh. This is a little tougher than I thought. I got them in kind of in order. I'm going to go with Denver. I'm going to take Jokic off Denver. And don't smile, but I'm going to take him off there because I think even without Jokic, you have some shooters on that team. You got Michael Porter Jr., you got KCP, so you still have some scorers on that team. So I'm going to go with Denver. And now, again, this could go either way. I understand people, they want to pick a different team. So I got the Clippers. I got Denver. I'm going to Milwaukee next. I take Giannis off Milwaukee. They still look good against Miami without him. I believe they get a win. Yeah, they won that one.
But then
by
they
double
lost
digits with.
Yep.
Yeah. They won game 2 without Giannis, but double digits. But then they lost the last one. 3. Number 4. I might have to go with Golden State. You take Steph off that team. They still have a lot of young players on that team, and obviously Clay will be their number 1 shooter. You still got Jordan Peele. You got Kuminga. I forgot about since he's back. They're looking good with him. Right. So that's my number 4 team. After that, you go with. This is where things get dicey.
Yep.
I'll
only make you go
Phoenix,
to give me your next 4, and then I'll let you stop there to make it fair.
I was about to say because we're running deep on time. I'll go with Phoenix. You take KD out. You still have D Book. Oh no, you just have D Book. You don't have a deep bench. No.
You better hope he scored 40 every game.
I'm gonna go with after that. I'm gonna go with the Boston. I'm gonna go with Boston. You take Boston. I like that one. You still have Jaylen Brown. Brown. You got Derek White, Brogdon. You got the defense of the year, Marcus Smart. After that, I'll go with the Lakers. You take LeBron off there. You still have AD. If you can get those core players from the Lakers to really, really step up, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, then the Lakers will still be prevalent. How many more teams do I got left? That was 6?
One more. That's 7.
One more, yeah. Due to time. I guess I'll take Philly. You take I don't know Philly. You take Embiid off. You take Embiid off Philly. You still have Tyrese Maxey and James Harden, so you're good there.
Yeah. That was going to be in my top 8 as well.
Okay.
And the only team to complete a sweep, which I think that makes the Nets 2 years in a row the only team to not win a game in the playoffs.
Wow. Pieces. I mean, you're just thinking about all the pieces they've had in the past few years and absolutely nothing to show for it.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Roger, I invented a game for you. It's based off another game I can't say the name of, but it's called Play, Work, Live. I'm going to name 3 people. Okay.
Yep.
And you have to put these 3 people into categories. The play is, this is my best friend. This is the person I go out with, hang out with, stuff. The work is, let's say, coworker. You're going to spend 40 hours a week with this person at work, and hopefully they don't slow you down. And then the live, this is your next door neighbor. And I know some people like, most people that I just seem to know don't hang out like all the time with their next door neighbor. You see them at times, maybe at neighborhood functions, but you don't hang out with them. So that's where it is. Play, work, live. You have to put the people in the categories, okay? First one, we'll give you the Lakers edition. Braun, Brow, Reeves.
I would want,
or you can substitute in Roy Hachi sauce if you want.
The Hachi sauce. No, let's leave Reeves in there. We'll leave Reeves. So we got AD, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. I would want Austin Reeves to be my neighbor because I feel like keep his lawn immaculately cut. He's gonna be nice, and if I'm not there at home, he's gonna be able to watch over my house. And hey, neighbor, turn off your Ring doorbell camera, whatever, blah 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 blah. Just let you know things. I would want AD to be my coworker because he would probably fall down at work and get injured, and I would just get tired of seeing that. So I'd only want to see him at work. I would want to hell with LeBron. LeBron's going to get me into all the cool parties. He's going to have VIP access to everything. We're going to be able to go everywhere with LeBron, do all the Hollywood party yachts, private jets, everything.
Okay,
LeBron will be my homeboy.
We get the point. We get the point.
LeBron's my best friend. LeBron.
Okay, we got. All right.
All right.
Jokic, Embiid, Giannis.
Yes.
Jokic, Embiid, Giannis. Play
what
work.
What say it again?
Jokic, Embiid, Giannis.
Yes. Oh, same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I would want to work with Jokic simply because I don't know if there's going to be too much of a language barrier for me to want to actually hang out with him outside of work. But Giannis, I would want to live next to. Yeah. Giannis, I would want to live next to. He seemed like he would be a cool neighbor. We go outside, talk, morning coffee, things like that. I want to hang out with Embiid because he would like to do pranks and do some stupid stuff and really get into some trouble.
I could definitely see that. All right.
Yeah.
And last one. You ready for this one?
Yep.
Draymond Green, Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen.
What? Oh God. I can't stand Dylan Brooks right now, so I'm just working with him. I want to see him the least as possible. That's possible.
That's 40 hours a week.
I know, unfortunately. Grayson Allen's gonna be my neighbor. He's gonna make sure that everything's safe. Hopefully he will, unless he's doing something crazy. But man, I'm gonna hang out with Draymond because we're gonna get into some trouble. We're gonna tear some things up and just bad things are gonna happen, and I want to be there to enjoy it.
Right. You have too much fun with the play part of this.
I do.
All right. Last question. We'll get through this one quickly. If you had to hire the Alabama football team coordinators, and you had to hire both of them from people in the Fast and the Furious universe, who would you pick in honor of their next movie, Fast and Furious 20 or whatever they're up to now?
Can I select Paul Walker? Rest in peace, Paul Walker. Can he be one of the options?
Yes.
With that being said, I'll pick Paul Walker for offense simply because he likes to go fast, which everybody else does in the franchise. But I'm going to pick Paul Walker. For defense, I'm going to pick John Toretto, a.k.a. Vin Diesel, only because I want to give him some sort of ends with us saying because we're family.
Family doesn't let the other team score.
Family doesn't let the other team score. You've got to. Yeah, that's it. I just want family speech.
My. So no X's and O's. We're just going to play on everybody's heartstrings.
Nope.
Got it.
Exactly. Those are good questions.
All right, Raj. we're about to end here. Obviously, thanks to Bama Beat, who you can see on Twitter at the Bama Beat.
Appreciate it.
Always great knowledge. We always check in with him several times during the season. Thanks to Mike on the Hoda for checking in with us. And Rogers, thanks to you.
Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Hoda
for once again being all over LeBron and making us all sick of him. Thanks.
Hey, LeBron, we're coming on in about an hour, and what time is it? An hour. We'll be on TV. Herb, I know you're going to be watching. He's your favorite player, too.
I will definitely be watching, and I'll actually be rooting for them tonight. So it'll be a good game.
Yeah, rooting for a legend, like you said. Yep.
All right, for Herb, Raj, and for Bama Beat, you've been listening to the Herb and Raj podcast every Monday at 7. We appreciate you. Appreciate your time. And as always, roll tide.
Appreciate you guys.